back to my channel. So I just want to carry on talking about the social care stuff, and also just going over some of your comments as well. I've got here in front of me one of the emails about the social worker who I'm having no more contact with now because he's transferred me on to lifelong services. But his awful email, which when I first read it made my blood boil because I felt so angry, and because it's so completely dismissive and uninformed about the nature of autism, is absolutely disgusting. Because he basically seems to think that with therapy, he admitted that he does understand it's autism and that it's not all mental health. Good for him. I hope so. He admitted that, but he seems to think, though, at the same time, he seems to think that therapy can get me to a place where I can basically come round to his idea that I can have support to clean, basically to have a support worker helping me to clean, when I said to him how absolutely degrading that is for me, because I have to fit it around my extremely tight routine and schedule. I don't have the energy for it. I can't fit it into my life. It's not something that would be beneficial for me. And therefore I need a professional cleaner, but he says that I could use my disability benefits to pay for that, which is also a disgusting comment, because it's basically completely annulling all of social care responsibility and basically transferring it over onto the disabled person, who basically receives a pittance from the state, which has to cover all of the costs of living, such as food and everything else, in a fucking, sorry, excuse my language, but it seriously makes me angry, cost of living crisis, with prices going through the roof. That is not that much money to live on. That money has to cover all the other expenses and hobbies should not be underestimated. They're so important to keep the person mentally well. Without them, you'd have absolutely nothing, no kind of purpose in life. How am I expected to pay for all of that and a cleaner when I'm disabled and it's something I need to stay well? It is absolutely disgusting. It's an absolutely lousy response. Let me know what you think about it. I'm trying to think of words to... Do any of you have any ideas on why that's a bad thing to tell a disabled person they could spend their disability benefits on a cleaner instead of social services taking up the responsibility of social care needs? Because I want to, because there must be a better way of explaining this situation. So if any of you have any thoughts as to why this is particularly iffy, or to elaborate on what I've said, do let me know in the comments, because I'd find that very helpful. Put your thinking caps on if any of you have got any ideas as to why this is particularly dodgy and potentially discriminatory. I could say it's discriminatory, but I just was thinking of if there's just a better argument or way of explaining it. If any of you could think of such an argument, do let me know in the comments, because I'd find that very helpful. Because obviously I know it's discriminatory, but I'm just thinking if there's any way of elaborating on exactly why it's discriminatory. Because I do feel that social services, it is their responsibility if it's a social care need, which it is. Because obviously lots of people get disability benefits and not all of them have a social care need. So that's over and above what disability benefits are for, because it's an over and above need. It should be met by social services. Yeah, he says the process will of course need to be gradual and take place in steps, working towards seeing if you could be more independent with cleaning, with support from people not as closely emotionally attached to you as your parent. I believe you may have the potential to change some of your thinking with the support of a psychologist, but I appreciate this will be very difficult given your autism. So basically what he's saying now, and it's deeply offensive and hurtful, is he's basically saying that because I'm autistic, it's to do with my way of thinking, that basically I'm thinking that I can't do it, and it's like something in my head that can be altered with therapy, which is really deeply offensive, because it's got nothing to do with a mental health or anything like that, making me think like this. This is coming from my own self-knowledge, my own self-awareness of how I am in this world. I know myself. He can just take his arrogance and just Do you know what I mean? Because it's like so hurtful. Because, you know, for him to say that, you know, that my way of thinking essentially is wrong, that is gaslighting, because he's basically questioning my reality and saying my reality is not true, is not real. When I live in my body, I live in my mind. I'm 35 years old. I know how I think, I know how I feel. I know what I'm capable of, I know what I'm not capable of. This is not a thought that can be analysed away through therapy. I'm not going to change the way I think precisely because how I'm thinking is correct. Because I know myself. That's a bit like someone saying, your favourite colour isn't, I don't know, purple or whatever. You need to have therapy to make you like blue. Or it'd be a bit like someone saying, I've got a better example, you know, like conversion therapy, right? Which awful homophobic therapy. Someone's gay, yeah? And people used to think that someone could change to being straight if they had therapy, right? It's not going to work, is it? Because if you're gay for life. It's your natural orientation, isn't it? But people used to think that like gay people could go and have therapy to basically make them straight. It's not going to happen. And like a gay person will be like, I'm gay, I know myself, I fancy, you know, those of the same sex to me, I know myself, you know. They would be deeply hurt by that. And then someone else saying, oh, well, you can change your thinking, and you're only thinking that because you're gay, and we can change your thinking. Can you imagine how offensive that would be and homophobic? So this is ableism. This is downright ableism. At the end of the day, he is basically gaslighting me. I know that I'm never going to want to have a support worker in the house to help me with cleaning because I do not have the energy, I do not have the time for it. I know how my body works, I know how my mind works. This ain't gonna change. Angry it is, makes me angry. So yeah, that email, when I first read it, God, it made me angry. So he's effectively saying, yeah, that what I think about myself is wrong and that I can be changed through therapy. That's what he's saying. And then, why can't you use direct payments for a cleaner? If you're able to, this is classic, I mean, it's absolutely god-awful, disgusting. If you are able to wash up, then you may have the potential to be supported in cleaning your bathroom. I mean, you can't make it up, can you? That's a bit like saying to a person in a wheelchair who can walk a little bit down the road, if you are able to walk a little bit down the road, then you may be able to walk up that flight of stairs with a bit of support. I mean, it's exactly the same, isn't it, as claiming that? I mean, apparently this does happen, even with physical disabilities, because I thought that wouldn't happen with a physical disability, but apparently it does, because I've heard from some people who do have physical disabilities who corrected me on that score. On a forum I was on, they said actually it does happen, where if someone can walk a little bit, someone thinks they don't need a wheelchair, or that they can be weaned off a wheelchair, sort of thing. And it's so archaic, but people do think that. So if they think that with physical disabilities, then, you know, I suppose it's no surprise really that something a bit more invisible like autism is going to happen, I suppose. But I mean, it's just so logically absurd. It's an absolute red herring. It's a logical fallacy. It doesn't matter if I can wash up a little bit. I mean, hell, washing up uses up so much energy. It's intensive. And, you know, I can do it, but it takes up so much energy, so much spoons, is the way of saying it. You know, energy currency in disability language. He probably hasn't heard of spoon theory. These social workers aren't very, well, aware of disability, clearly. It's exhausting and degrading and affects my well-being. But no, they don't give a shit about that. So yeah, so basically an effective cut to my income by saying you have to pay for it out of your disability benefits, which I'm not, by the way, because I don't have enough money to afford that, plus everything else that I need to keep me well. So we're going to have a health and safety issue, aren't we? When my dad can no longer do the cleaning for me, what is going to happen? Because there'll be mould growing, there'll be other things. I can't maintain a habitable home environment. That's a Care Act need. That's the other thing, by the way, although maybe by that point they will change their mind, because they tend to do, these social workers, when someone meets crisis, then you get the support. By that point it's too late. Why can't they put in place? I need, they don't think into the future, do they? It's all what's happening now. This is the other thing, by the way. Where is it? Because, yeah, as he mentioned in my care assessment, it says here, Anna to consider updating her therapy goals to be supported to address other Care Act needs, including maintaining safe and habitable home environment, support to clean, support to access benefits advice. And yeah, he says I have eligible needs that are significant, and he says that so that's been omitted. But what eligible needs are going to be met through other resources? Father currently supporting with finances, arranging repairs and cleaning. So basically, this is the other thing, by the way, and it's all Tory agenda. If you've got family who are taking up some of the eligible care needs, because social services can say we don't need to provide, right? Basically they're expecting unpaid carers to do work that essentially should be done by paid social services, essentially. So it's transferring labour on to unpaid family members or whatever, which is absolutely disgusting. So then they can say we don't have to provide because they've got family doing it for them, but they never really stop to ask whether or not that's in the best interest of either the person doing the labour or the person who's having the labour done for them, because it puts strain on relationships. It's stressful. You want to have, it's just not right, is it? So that's probably the other reason why I say I currently can't have a cleaner, because my dad's doing it. But this is the whole point. This is why we want to move to a situation where I can be transitioned off from that. Because I'm never going to be in a position where I'm going to be able to be helped to do it. That's never going to change. I need a doer, not a helper. And as I get older, that need for a doer is going to get even more pronounced, because I'm going to get even more exhausted by daily living. I'm not going to be degraded with a support worker, helping me do a bit of cleaning when I can't, I'm not going to be degraded doing that. That's absolutely disgusting proposal. It doesn't take into account my well-being, my needs, my autism. It's absolutely sick. And I'm not going to take a cut to my income, because paying for a cleaner means I'd have to sacrifice other things because I do not have enough benefit to afford that on top of everything else. And that is not fair, because it's not my fault I have a disability and can't work. Like normal people who they might be able to afford a cleaner, but they're not on benefits, and they can still go on holiday and do all the other stuff that is part of a dignified normal human existence. When you're on benefits, you hardly have enough money for any. It's not like I can go on holiday at the moment, but maybe eventually I might want to go on holiday. That's how can I be, to pay for a cleaner is basically degrading because it's a disability need. That should be funded by social services. You know what I mean? It's sick. It absolutely is sick. Anyway, moving over to video number 2 now, because now I just want to go through some of your comments. So moving over to video number 2 now.